So as we get ready to finish our 2 days of focus, I'd like to have my panel come up. And while they are coming to the front, I just want to kind of make a few comments. As you can see, we're doing a really quick transition. We're coming to the end of our workshop. We recognize that you may need a cup of coffee or a cup of water. Feel free to go out. They are available out in the hallway. But we are going to continue on. That way all of our guests can pursue their travel plans effectively. Come on up, Amy, and just take a seat, and we'll get out of here on time. So my name is Donna Matthews Gerald. I am at Mass General Hospital in Boston, Massachusetts, and I'm happy to moderate this last session. We've heard from many of the stakeholders in this area of precision medicine, and now we're going to hear probably from the ultimate stakeholder through our patients and our patient advocacy. And I'm even happy to acknowledge that our patients are vast, including our four-legged patients, as we again talk about the comparative medicine between pet medicine and human medicine as well. We're going to touch on a lot of different topics from our different speakers, so I'm just going to do a quick introduction and let them proceed with giving you their information. So our first speaker, of course, is Daryl Pritchard, who is representing the Personalized Medicine Coalition, very active in the area of education and policy, et cetera, around the issue of precision medicine. And Daryl, I'll have you come up and talk about patient advocacy.
Great. Well, we are the last session of the day, so I don't want to keep you long, but hopefully instead of losing your attention and getting burned out, you're getting charged up, and we have the most interesting session of the day. Now, we are likely to change gear here a little bit from what we've been talking about throughout the two-day conference, because we're really going to provide an overview of what is the most important stakeholder in this entire process, the patient. So again, I'm Daryl Pritchard, and thank you for that introduction, with the Personalized Medicine Coalition, which is an education and advocacy coalition of those stakeholder groups that are most interested in seeing personalized medicine advance in healthcare. I'm the Senior Vice President for Science Policy, and I'll provide context to the patient perspective. I want to thank the National Academies and the organizers, especially Kent Lloyd, for including the Personalized Medicine Coalition in this discussion. So I'm going to start with an analogy of personalized medicine to bring this idea of research, animal and in vitro modeling in precision medicine research to the patient. And really, it's about, I'm going to say personalized medicine and precision medicine, and I mean the same thing. We've had a lot of discussions about what the definition is. The broadest definition of what is personalized medicine, I'm not really going to try to spell out what is a difference between personalized or individualized or stratified medicine. But personalized medicine really can be analogized with the idea of modern aviation. And the idea is that really the traditional trial and error treatment based on clinical symptom-based taxonomy is akin to sort of early aircraft, early navigation, air navigation and aviation, where pilots had to get to a destination with virtually no instrumentation telling them where to go. They had a compass to get them in the right direction, but maybe had no idea where they were going and basically looked out the side of the cockpit for signs that they were going in the right direction and to lead them to where they were. Personalized medicine, however, is mechanistic-based taxonomy and is akin to modern aviation, where there's a lot of instrumentation, instrumentation to lead you to your destination throughout the aircraft, very complex and very technical, but it is there to assure that you get to your destination the treatment to the appropriate care in the most effective and safest way possible. So the traditional markers that we talk about, the instrumentation for that journey, for bringing that care effectively to its target destination, are susceptibility, mechanistic, and pharmacogenomic markers, which really represent risk, efficacy, and safety. The susceptibility biomarkers indicate the need for increased surveillance or prevention strategies. And this is analogous to flight planning. Are you even going to need to take this trip? And if so, what can you do to best prepare? This is how can these susceptibility markers tell you how can you help predict risk of getting disease. Mechanistic biomarkers indicate the candidate drug occupies the intended target and are analogous to the navigation controls on the aircraft. They lead you to your destination and plot and make sure that you get to your destination in the most effective and quickest and safest way possible. Mechanistic biomarkers can help select the right treatment. Pharmacogenomic markers indicate the dose-dependent target modulation of the pathway inhibition, and they're analogous to the landing instrumentation in the aircraft. You've plotted your course to where you're going, and this makes sure, these biomarkers make sure that you get to that destination without an adverse event or without an accident in the safest way possible. These PGX markers help select the right dose and duration. So I bring this all up in a way of bringing it back to the patient. I just want to talk about some of the recent advancements that we've seen in personalized medicine. Some of these have been discussed throughout the symposium. But over the last 10 to 12 years, really, the technological advancement has been astounding. In 2005, shortly after the completion of the Human Genome Project, the cost to sequence a single human genome was about $100 million. And now we can do that for what people are saying is about $1,000, with more needed to do appropriate analysis. In 2005, there were 14 personalized medicines on the market, and today there's over 160. The number of personalized medicines approved in 2005 was 1. And so far this year, in 2017, we've already had 13 new personalized medicines approved. Those are drugs that have a biomarker that indicates its use directly in the label. 13 out of 34, there's roughly 40% of the approvals this year have been personalized medicine. Obviously, personalized medicine has arrived. And also, just to illustrate again that technological advancement, in 2005, when cetuximab was approved for use in patients, it had been 26 years since the discovery of the driver mutation, EGFR. Fast forward to 2015, just a couple of years ago, when crizotinib was approved for use in non-small cell lung cancer patients. It was only 4 years after the ALK biomarker, which drove that disease mechanism before the production and manufacturing and availability of a treatment that utilized it. The pipeline for personalized medicine, the future of personalized medicine, also is very illustrative to where we're going. The Personalized Medicine Coalition commissioned a study with the Tufts Medical Center in 2015 that looked at the pipeline, looked at all the drugs in the current pharmaceutical development pipeline, and showed that 42% of all drugs in the pipeline in 2015 had a biomarker associated with their development plan or were potentially personalized medicines. A whopping 73% of those of drugs in the oncology pathway are personalized medicines. As far as diagnostics, this number is astounding. If you haven't seen it before, those that are following Personalized Medicine Coalition and personalized medicine in general, this might not be a surprise, but in September of 2016, over 65,000 genetic testing products were on the market. This is analysis done by Concert Genetics. That includes singles and panels. And these are individual tests, not just biomarkers. So when you think about it and include next-gen sequencing, which has been a big focus of what we've been talking about, the number of biomarkers that can be used for genetic analysis is astounding. We're in an era of unprecedented discovery. We've just heard from a number of international consortiums and projects. These are all ambitious, major research projects around the world, both publicly funded and private. We just heard from the UK, Japan, and France. Here I've underlined the US's Precision Medicine Initiative, All of Us research program, the UK's project. There's similar projects in China and in the Middle East, and there's large-scale global biobank projects going around. You heard about the Japan Rare and Undiagnosed Disease endeavor and others. These are really all set to better understand human genetic variation and to elucidate more biomarkers that will help further personalized medicine. However, the primary element to all of these large global and national projects is that it's based on large-scale human genome databases. And this doesn't really bring into the conversation all the time the use of animal-based experimentation, animal models and in vitro models for discovering these biomarkers and their role in human disease. Focusing just on the All of Us research program, the idea here is to build a research program of 1 million or more people with the mission to accelerate health research and medical breakthroughs, enabling individualized medicine for all of us. And it uses not just genetic markers, but other data fields. The key thing here, and this is kind of common to all of these massive projects, is that they include a massive cohort so that we can get statistical significance. It's human subjects looking at human variation, and it includes multiple types of data fields, so it's going to require some sort of meta-analysis to bring together all of the results to see what the relationship is of these genetic variants to human disease. This is the epitome of big data. And the big data study goal is to better understand human genetic variation and to elucidate more biomarkers. However, the genetic variants that play a role in many common health conditions and some rare diseases as well is largely unknown. And we must remember that we cannot look past research to elucidate the mechanisms and molecular pathways of disease, which largely are in the context of animal-based research and in vitro studies. I like to think of it, and you know, this is a topic that really the Personalized Medicine Coalition is just beginning to recognize, or at least recognize its importance and that it should be a priority part of the discussion. The clinical relevance of the variants that you can get from these big data studies is really developed through the animal-based studies and in vitro modeling studies. And conversely, any of the mechanistic studies that show human or health-related causation or health-related implications of genetic variants needs to be reproduced, and those reproducibility concepts have to move from the animal models back to the big data studies. So it's sort of a loop. And then those together are used for pre- and co-clinical trial planning. So I put together this sort of image of what really is a comprehensive research study in personalized medicine. As we begin to think about the Precision Medicine Initiative and all of these large database, big data-based studies, we have to think more along the lines of their use in context with traditional animal-based research. And that's that large shared human genome, human variant database studies really feed right into traditional animal and in vitro modeling, and that feeds back into the analysis that we can use the big data studies for. Reproducibility, making sure that this has a human context. together for a comprehensive study, comprehensive strategy. You take all of those results and you use that for planning your translational research and product development. So I bring this all up and trying to bring it back now to the patients, in that patients who are extremely interested in seeing precision or personalized medicine go forward need to be aware of this, and they are. They're becoming more aware of it, and thanks to some of the efforts like these for the conference here today, are becoming more evident to patients. Personalized medicine, I'm going to make the case, has turned a corner, and when we think about it as a progression from bench to bedside, if we think about development or advent of personalized medicine, it really begins with that scientific discovery, and then goes through a progression to get to a health product, a healthcare product, whether it be a treatment for disease or whether it be a prevention biomarker that can give information about prevention strategies. And it goes through translational research, regulatory approval, and payment and coverage and reimbursement. And while all of these areas have challenges, and none of them are fully answered at this point, I think it's safe to say now that we are turning the corner in all of what we've been doing, and now the challenges that we are facing are in more so than ever in clinical adoption of these technologies. How do we use personalized medicine in patient care? There's a number of stakeholders that are involved along this progression, and hopefully I just made the case that the research community and the diagnostic and pharmaceutical industries are on board for personalized medicine. I think that's pretty clear. I'll also make the case that the regulatory oversight community is on board. I mentioned that 13 of the current new molecular entities that have gone through the Food and Drug Administration this year are personalized medicines, and they've stated a number of times their support and their hope to help advance personalized medicine going forward. And that brings us to get these new products, these new technologies to the ultimate stakeholder, patients. It brings us to payers and providers. And of course, these two stakeholder groups provide the access to these technologies to patients. And they're the ones now where I think we need to focus some of our efforts to convince them of the value, or to demonstrate that value. We've been talking about evidence generation. We need to gear that evidence towards these stakeholders in particular. So what are patients thinking about personalized medicine? The Personalized Medicine Coalition did a public survey just 3 years ago in 2014. Now, this was before the Precision Medicine Initiative kicked off, so personalized medicine was still the term of choice. But we found that more than half, 62% of those that we surveyed in the general public had never heard of personalized medicine. And we're going to redo this study in 2018, sort of an update, to see how the Precision Medicine Initiative and some other advancements in the field may have changed these numbers, but still, a lot of people hadn't heard of it. And if you look a little closer at it, data, what was even more alarming at the time was that just over 1 in 10, just over 10% of those patients that we talked to had said that their doctor had ever talked to them about personalized medicine or recommended a targeted treatment. So this is, just 3 years ago, was not being utilized, or at least in the eyes of patients, not being utilized very much. However, when we discussed the advantages of personalized medicine with these consumers, or we talked to those patients that had an understanding of personalized medicine, they quickly saw the major benefits in terms of the information could help their doctor target treatments, the advantages and benefits of this information for prevention strategies, to help avoid side effects, to result in less invasive procedures so that you can use diagnostic tests in a number of different ways. And the patient community, by and large, is really looking forward to the advent of personalized medicine and personalized medicine taking off. One of the hallmarks of personalized medicine conversations in and around DC has been patient-centeredness. And this is what the patient community, especially patient advocates, have really focused on. But on top of that, the patient community has also really recognized that research is pivotal to the advance of personalized medicine to improve treatments. And they are advocating for increased funding for research, new and improved ways to conduct clinical trials, how to really address research from the basic scientific discovery through its translation to product development. So my last two slides, I just want to talk about the impact of personalized medicine, to tell us why we're all here, why we're talking to the idea of improving research pathways and strategies for personalized medicine so that patients can get these care, and we're all patients. Just by example, looking at the history of leukemia and lymphoma, just 60 years ago in the 50s, in the 1950s, they didn't even call it leukemia or lymphoma. It was referred to as a disease of the blood. Here, just 60 or so years later, leukemia and lymphomas have been subcategorized into nearly 90 different subcategories. And each one of those subcategories of leukemias and lymphomas have different care, optimized care pathways to deliver the most effective and optimized treatment. It's definitely much more complicated, more complex science, more complex practice of medicine. But what have the results been? Well, the 5-year survival for leukemias and lymphomas in the 1950s was about 0%, and today about 70% of patients with leukemia and lymphoma have a 5-year survival rate. It's a remarkable impact with the complexity in our knowledge of the disease. I'd like to end with this slide. What is the impact on patients, and why are we all doing this, and why do we go to these conferences and discuss all of these issues and how to optimize research strategies? And I referred to a patient advocate and friend of mine, Deb Smith, who 5 years ago was diagnosed with advanced non-small cell lung cancer. And she said a couple of years ago, I'm here and I'm doing very well 3 years after my stage 4 lung cancer diagnosis, and most of the time my life is really good. She was told by her doctors when she was diagnosed that she was not going to survive for very long, and she had resigned in her own mind that she was going to die. Her priority for the remainder of her life was to spend time with her son so he could have memories of his mother. And she got onto at the time, a Tarceva clinical trial, and then after that, and when her cancer recurred, she got on another AstraZeneca clinical trial, and she's alive today and doing well. As she says, her life is pretty good. She says, I've been taking trips with my son that I never thought I would be able to take. What I've been trying to do is give him some good memories, and in the process I found that my life is more complete than it ever has been before. The impact of personalized medicine is profound, and it's patient-centered. So thank you.
Thank you. I hope